everybody. Welcome to the Currency Roundtable. This is kind of a fun thing that we put together, and I'm going to blame my friend Dustin Witty out because he called me and StuPlubak out and said, well, maybe they know something about mules. And I think, Dustin, you know more than all of us about mules combined. And all I know is that a mule is kind of related to a horse. So we got together and said, hey, let's put together this Currency Roundtable. Let's talk about currency and talk about a little bit about ourselves, what we collect. So I got on the horn and reached out and said, hey, Ontario 100, Dustin Witty, StuPlubak. These are the currency channels that I watch the most and I really enjoy, and I won't miss a video I might get behind. So with that said, I want to welcome StuPlubak.
Hi, guys.
Dustin Witty.
How's it going?
And Dustin is showing his face for the first time. That could be a mistake, but it's like, it's good to see you, Dustin. And then we've got Ontario 100, and I don't blame you for not showing your face for most reasons, Ontario.
That's exactly right. Thank you. Why am I here?
Well, you're going to help answer that question. You're here because, one, we all know that you are a coin guy. You've got some stellar coins, but you also cross over. And I guess for people like myself, Stu, and Dustin, we're looking for those crossover folks to look at both. And I think all of us appreciate, Ontario, your coins and your currency. So with that said, we're going to go around the table here and kind of introduce each other ourselves and say, why do we do what we do? Why do we collect what we collect? Any background that wants to be shared? You know, it's that, call this the view of, I get to be Barbara Walters. I think she's dead now. Is she dead? I don't even know. But that's a fantasy of mine. We won't go there. All right. Who wants to start?
All right, I'll jump in.
All right.
Let's see. I was just talking with you guys about how long I've been collecting. A lot of you guys have been watching my channel and assume that I've been collecting for decades. And the truth of the matter is, I have only been collecting for about 8 or 9 years. I think the first note I ever purchased was in 2015, I believe. So I am, even though everyone keeps thinking that I am this expert and this dealer, I am a true collector. I'm a collector just like you guys are. The one advantage I have is because I do videos on each of the notes that I find, everybody in my community likes to come out and tell me just a little bit more. So my channel is like kind of like central station for information. Even though I may not put it in a particular video, other people are always giving me more information, which gives you guys the impression that I'm the expert, but it's actually all of the people that watch my channel that are the experts that are making me look good. I started collecting in 2015 because I was in search of a 1 ounce gold bar, and I had no idea where to find 1 ounce of gold. I always wanted one. I always wanted an ounce of gold. Looked at pawn shops, jewelry shops, everywhere. Finally, somebody told me go to a coin shop. They'll have it there. And when I was there, I got the 1 ounce of gold, but sitting on the shelf was a 1922 $20 gold certificate. And I was stunned because I, for one, didn't know our notes were that large. I did not know George Washington was on something other than a $1 bill. I never knew we had gold certificates. And then just to see the beauty of that particular note blew me away. I bought that note on site. I had been dabbling a little bit with coins, but after seeing that note, that did it for me, and away I go.
Nice. So, okay, well, we'll come back to the second part of that. Dustin.
All right. So I started collecting when I was 14. So I've been going at it now 20 plus years.
4 years now.
Yeah. Right. I'm not as young as you think. But I've been at it around 20 years, and I started with basic silver. My grandpa had a bag, like a bank bag full of silver dimes, quarters, that kind of stuff. And, you know, a lot from that generation always had silver stuck back, anything pre-64. And it was intriguing to me. And when he passed away, that was actually given to me by my family. And, I still have all those coins and I still have the bank bag, and I'm never going to touch it. But it really got me started with coins and, a little bit in the currency game. There were some old ratty silver certificates in there, that were crushed by all the silver. It was super cool to have. And literally they're torn up and falling apart. But in time, I really got into, I like numbers. So I got into fancy serial numbers and got a radar note and assumed that, I'm sitting on a fortune here. And, at that point, I was about a 17, 18-year-old kid. And I was the only one in the area where I am. And I've learned nationally, there's not many of us either that collect fancies. But I was the only one in the area here that even was interested in stuff like that. And I also learned that a lot of that stuff, if you can find it, it's pretty easy to acquire affordably back in that time. There's been more people jump on the boat now, and the market is crazy. If you watch my videos, you know that. But it's kind of evolved now into all the coins that I collected throughout the years. Any gold, any silver, any key dates, I've sold them. And I went all into fancy currency and large size serial numbers.
Well, for those
Or
of you
large size star notes.
if you haven't seen Dustin's channel, it's not your average of what maybe Stu highlights on eBay of a trinary being worth $1,000. What did you do for coins, Dustin?
Morgan dollars were
Okay.
main. I completed a Morgan dollar set and sold the whole thing. And I completed a 2-cent set. And I love, and still to this day, I love 2-cent pieces. They're so cool. And the history behind them, it's first coin with "In God We Trust" on them.
Right.
And the look of those things, when you have them in hand and they're an XF40 or above, that's the coolest coin in my book. I just think they look amazing. And then I got into collecting key dates. One of the reasons I got out of coins is because there's so many faked coins. There's so many cleaned coins and coins with issues. And you have to educate yourself to the nth degree in order to pick up on a lot of this stuff. And I got burned before on buying some coins, and it really irked me because I don't have tons of disposable income to throw into that.
That's a great point, though, about fake coins and stuff being faked like that. You don't hear about that with currency as much. Now, when it comes to errors, that's a whole nother story. People try to claim anything and everything's an error. But as far as counterfeit paper money, you really don't see it. In fact, when you do, those counterfeits are collectible. I've got a handful of counterfeits, contemporary counterfeits, one from 1862, one from 1899. And when we start talking about obsoletes, there's a bunch there. The CSAs were counterfeited, but those counterfeits are historical. Whereas compared to getting a fake 1932 quarter that's been altered, now you just lost some serious cash.
Right.
Isn't there a series of $100 bills that the Russians counterfeited in around World War I or something that's well known? I mean, I've seen those things graded.
There's North Korea has the super counterfeit.
As far as today, right?
Yes.
I never heard the Russian story, but
yeah, I haven't heard the Russian story either, but I have heard the North Korea. But even though, I don't know about the Russian story, but the North Korea isn't designed to fool collectors. It's designed to fool a bank. Yeah. They're not trying to turn a $100 bill into, a $20,000 note. They just want it to be a piece of paper now worth $100.
Right.
But what about the Russian?
I'll have to get some more information to you guys on that. But there were a series of large $100 bills, the 1914 series, and I believe the serial numbers start with 813. Don't hold me to that, but that's one of the ways you can tell it's counterfeit. They didn't change the serial number, and but they put them out obviously around World War I, trying to damage our economy, our early 20s, I guess it would have been. The communist.
Interesting.
But it didn't have a lot of input. But I'm pretty sure I've actually seen that note graded. You know, it's counterfeit. I mean, labeled a counterfeit.
Right.
Russian
but that's where it becomes collectible. Like
exactly. Exactly.
All right. So Dustin, I mean, so those are significant coin collections. I mean, a complete Morgan, the 2-cent piece, that's significant. And you walked away from that.
Yes. It was a combination of frustration with coins, and then also, you know, at some point you have to look at finances, and you have to look at what you really enjoy. You know, I would take a $15 radar note over a 2-cent piece or anything like that graded any day. And it's just what my interests were. And I just went all in. And it's hopefully y'all see that in my collection and stuff, that I am not doing anything else other than fancies and the random large size star note.
Yeah.
And I've just about got all the large size stars that I can actually afford, because the rest of them, you know, 5K plus.
Trust me, I'm dreaming about what you have for large size stars. It's just not.
We've got to get you one sometime.
Maybe someday. I just got, like you just said, I've got other stuff that I want to do first. Yeah, everybody's got a bucket list. Speaking of buckets, Ontario 100.
Yes,
we're coming to you.
Coming to me. Yeah. Well, you guys know I started with coins. I started when I was, 10 years old, and like 30 years ago.
He had the original 2-cent.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. I got those out of circulation. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I started a long time ago in the late 60s, and I can go along with everything Dustin's saying, especially in those days, because that was the Wild West. You had no grading services. There was people would overgrade coins. They'd sell you a VG and call it a VF all day long. You had to. It was just wild compared to today. But I know we want to talk about currency. But
no, I mean that's so. I want to know how you crossed over onto. I mean, that's what intrigues me, and I enjoy watching your gold and silver that you show off. Because one, they're pretty unique pieces. I mean, it's not there's always something more behind it than what it is, and that's including. I mean, is that the $1 gold on your mug?
That's a $3.
There you go. See, even better. It's what you're showing on your mug is a $3 gold. It's not just it's St. Gaudens, something like that. You know what I mean? That's what I pick up from your channel, from you.
Yeah, I got into coins because I loved history, and I could, I literally hold a piece of history in my hand, so to speak. And my uncle was a coin collector and got me interested in it. And I started going to shows. What I did was put together typesets. You asked me what I like to collect. So that's how I started. The coins was typesets. And I used that interest when I went over to currency. That's how I started. And how did I cross into currency? Watching you guys in Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer, yeah.
That's how I got interested in currency. And I started with typesets, putting together like Federal Reserve note sets. And so I was using the same logic with currency that I had with coins.
When did you say I'm gonna? What was your? Everybody, Steve. We all know what your first note was, and it's a great story. All right. I think you might know what my first note was. It was that 1923 rag that I paid way too much money from a guy that I'm glad went out of business 2 years later. Terrible.
He's probably he's still laughing, I'm sure.
He probably is. So Ontario, what was the first note that you, as a collector, purchased?
Yeah, because I always had a little bit of, like all coin collectors, almost all of them will have a large, silver certificate or $2 bill or something. But the first one I can recall actually buying was a Series 1914 $10 bill. And I can send you a picture of that. But I bought that note because I thought it looked so odd that you see Jackson on a 10.
Mhm.
It just looked out of place. It almost looks like a counterfeit when you first look at it. I also saw one of those as a child from a family friend that owned a grocery store. And believe it or not, someone had spent that in the grocery store for groceries.
Wow.
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 He knew I was 11, 12 years old, and I was in the store, and he said, "Hey, I hear you like coins and currency. Look what I got yesterday." And he literally took it out and showed it to me, in the store.
Well, it was the Depression.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it hadn't been that long.
Everybody, seriously, Ontario 100 is not that old. He's just happens to be older than us, and we're still old.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, he took that out, and he had a wood chopper also that he had gotten at some point. He showed me that also, a $5 bill later, another visit. But I can't believe somebody actually spent, even in the 60s, that would have been unusual to run across.
Well, I have to start strap searching 10s and 5s if you're finding these in circulation.
Yeah, that's right.
They might stick out a little bit.
They sure would. Yeah. They would stick out. They sure would.
One of my first memories is, my dad used to take me fishing. I've got two older sisters, so we'd spend a lot of time on the road, and we had a trout stream cabin down in southeastern Minnesota. And I'll never forget, we went, and why this is so, my dad was super honest. There's a picture of him back over that shoulder. The most honest man I've ever met. So we were down in Wyckoff, Minnesota, and we're half an hour from the cafe. We had just eaten breakfast. And all of a sudden, something's gnawing at him, and he's like, I he got too much money back. So he hands me his wallet and says, pull out those 2 5s. And I look at them, and they're red seals. And this is probably 72, 73, where you still could see them floating around randomly. And I'd never seen them, and I just sat there and looked at them, and I'm like, wow, this is like from Pluto. Cool. And ever since then, I always, as a kid, looked at currency closely, So fast forward, I've got 3 young children. It's state quarters time. Well, 2 at the time it had started. And I got into it because state quarters, probably the running joke of all coin collectors. But I think what folks forget about is that state quarter thing changed everything. Nothing except for the 1975 and 76 sets for the bicentennial had changed since 1965. As far as visually concerned, I know they changed the content a little bit, tweaked the clads. But it just intrigued me so much to see a new quarter reverse for that matter. So I started collecting those, and the girls could care less. And I'm a history major. I work for a historical society. I'm sure that shocks everybody if you've seen any of my videos, and I bored you to death with random sidebars that I go down. But so I got interested in the history, and that's what the state quarters also brought out. Well, that led me to trying to complete that. And Ontario, you talk about the typeset. That was my first collection of coins that I put together. It's still hanging on my wall. Right. Is a 20th century typeset. And then I was done. Then I'm like, okay. And by then I had already discovered the paper currency, but 3 young children, no money, no time, and everything went on hiatus. But I kept active here and there. eBay was a key thing for me. And I think we'll probably talk about that, if not today, another episode. But to have that ability, because my coin shop experience was so sour and bitter, and plus there's not a lot of them. I don't want to say I'm in a desert for a local coin shop, but there just wasn't. So eBay went on, I think it was 2001 or 2 is when they started selling currency, somewhere in there. So you could at least see, look, and dream. And there was some dreaming for me for a while. And so then, you have more time, you have more money. And I got into collecting just Minnesota, Minneapolis Federal Reserve notes. Start small, and then you can find some money, save some money, and get some larges. I don't think I probably maybe have 25 large size notes, but going in the lane for me was sticking with Minneapolis notes, especially nationals. I mean, nationals are so, and to me, I think they're unbelievably expensive, especially in the state that you live.
There is
Yes.
that local bump. Yeah.
Steve, you tell a great story. Tell that story.
My local coin shop had a local national, and I knew the value. I knew the note was worth roughly $400. He had $600 on the note, and I went in there one day and I said to him, I understand the local bump, but I also know the note is worth about $400. Whenever you decide you want to let that note go for $400, I'll be more than happy to take it off your hands. You just let me know. And it was probably a year later. I walked into the shop. And I said, "You still got that?" He says, "Yeah, I had it at all the shows." I said, "My offer still stands." He said, "All right, let's do it."
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's the local bump. That's exactly what happens. A note is never worth more than where it was produced because those are the people that are interested in that tiny little town of 100,000 people.
And that's where it's like when I was out at Long Beach at the coin show, at the money show out there. I mean, I bought this $20 St. Paul National large, and it was at least 30% cheaper, and it was from Kagan's, which, nothing against Kagan's, but they're not known for being the deal makers of the Western Hemisphere. And
Right.
I just bought it right now, and my wife's like, "You don't even know." I'm like, "Yeah, I do know. I do know. If I go back anywhere near Minnesota, it's going to be $200 more, easy." Then the history aspect hit for me, and I'm like, "Wow, who is that? What's on it?" The transportation note, right? The back of that 20 for, just to see those vignettes and what are they, and to find out that those are actual places. Some of them, not all of them, but like that agriculture scene that is taken from an actual place, I believe in Kansas or something like that. And
Right.
that to me, and so that got me down that road of this. So I'm going to then just lead right into this, gentlemen. How did we get to YouTube? Why on earth are we doing this? And I'm going to preface this with, I just got a comment on one of my videos yesterday going, how much time do I actually spend on a video? And I kind of didn't want to answer it. Then I'm like, well, it's probably 20 hours, 20 to 30 hours per video. Now, that's not all at once. I'm counting going out and I'm going to collect, and the time that I'm searching for that note and purchasing that note. And anybody who's been on eBay or looking for notes, that takes time. But it's the research and things like that. But I got into it because I was watching folks like you, watching StuPlubak. Stu, and it's your problem that I'm here. Because you gave the information that I wanted. I just wanted more of it.
I've created many monsters. I understand this.
Yeah, go ahead. That's pretty much why. And so I wanted to do more. I wanted a channel that did something more specific, but more information of that specificity that Stu, you just don't do, and that's okay. It's not your gig.
See, I don't know how to take learning that you spent 20 hours per video, because first of all, it shows, first of all, because your videos are incredible. But then I look at how much time I spend on a video, and the amount of time I spend on a video is probably about 3 times the length of the video. Just the first 15 minutes is pulling things out of whatever. The second 15 minutes is shooting it, and the third 15 minutes is uploading it. So as long as I can rattle off another idea, that's the hard part for me. The hard part is having a notebook that I constantly am jotting different ideas down.
Yeah.
I do different types of videos, as you guys know. On Thursdays, I do my strap search and a highlight. The hardest part of that Thursday video is my introduction that I do, where I start off with a tip. I've got plenty of notes I can do videos on. I've got envelopes containing searches of over 26,000 notes. I've got 26 envelopes there. So I could film 26 videos right now if I could come up with 26 tips to start those videos off.
That was your problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I always start those with a tip. So the tip is actually the hardest part. And I've even done videos where I had no clue what the tip was going to be. And rather than rack my brain, I said, you know, we're just going to go with instant pressure. I hit record and I started. And I had 15 seconds to come up with whatever I was going to say in the moment. And you know, sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't. But
Oh, I mean,
when you're
that's
putting out that many, that's what you got to do. But I tend to film videos, like my Thursday videos. I'll do like 4 or 5 of those in a row because once you do one, it's easier to do the next one. The top 10 lists, those I will map those out as well. But once again, I don't really want to say it takes 15 minutes. I probably spend, you know, maybe an hour, you know, gathering all that stuff together. But yeah, to find out that you put that much time in there, like I said, it shows that you put that much time in your videos. They are
Well,
very, very high quality and
Definitely.
impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
thank you. But I mean, part of that for me is I enjoy the research. I enjoy going down those rabbit holes and those sidebars. And
Well,
you
we
know,
enjoy
that
watching it.
the inspiration though comes from like Stu, you hit it when you're like, this is a way for me to show off my collection. All right. Not many folks laying around my neighborhood that it's like want to talk currency, right?
That's exactly it.
I maybe have one friend, and I guess I can call my wife my friend, that tolerates a conversation.
Right.
And so
I
that
think-
there's just nobody to talk to. So this is a way for me to access, play with my money. I mean,
Right.
it's like, and I, you know, you've seen my background. It's like, you know, there's the Cuba notes. That was that video. And it's just a way for me to, like you say, Stu, it's just a way for me to look at my collection, to access and why do you have it? It's sitting in a box in a safe or this or that if you're not rotating it out and looking at it and talking about it. So that was a big inspiration for me. All right.
I concur. When you've got all these incredible notes and they're sitting in a safety deposit box, what's the fun of that? I started filming my notes mainly so I would remember. My memory isn't as great as it used to be, but I would film a note and I would tell everything I knew about that note. And I always did it in a fashion that just in case somebody actually watched this video, they would actually learn something too. And that way it wasn't me talking to myself. I was talking to a fictional viewer. But that way, when I watched it, I mean, I'll admit for the first 8 months of my channel, I was my biggest fan. I would rewatch my own videos just to embed that stuff in my
It's all
head.
shocking.
I was signing autographs for myself. No.
By the
But-
way, I do have to point out, since so can you stand up a little bit because this is, you know, Steve actually lived in Minnesota, I believe, that's the Minnesota North Stars, who are now
That's
a
right.
terrible team. That's the original right there, baby.
Yep, Brian Bellows.
Brian Bellows to boot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
That's all right.
a total homer, so I had to call that out.
Oh, no problem.
So your foray into YouTube was
My foray into YouTube was I've got all these incredible notes and they're sitting in a box. If I do a video and post it on YouTube, I don't care if anybody watches because I can watch. And if I can watch my own stuff, now I can see my stuff in the safety of my house without having to worry about anybody breaking in or anything. I've got an incredible collection to view, and to have it waste away in a safety deposit box just kind of, you know, felt like a waste.
Yeah.
But by doing the videos, like I said, the videos were for me, but I did it in a way that just in case somebody else watched, they may find interest
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Ontario.
Well, I started, well, again, I'm going to name a couple of people. The Silver Surfer, Make Numismatics Great Again. Those guys. I was looking at coin videos at the time, and I was getting ready to sort of rotate out of that typeset era that I was talking about. Gold prices were down, and I was sort of moving out of one thing into something else. So I thought, well, why not video the coins that I'm about to sell or trade? And then when I come back from the show or wherever, then I'll do another video of what I bought. So that's kind of how it started. And I figured, well, you know, I'll be lucky if I get 12 video, you know, out of this. But again, kind of picking up on what Stu said, I just sort of did it for fun and for myself and hoped others would watch.
And they do.
Yeah. So,
Right.
Dustin?
Mine started where Silver Surfer, we brought him up and we're going to get him involved in this at some point.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Silver
But,
Surfer it is going to be part of
Right.
this panel. He's
Right.
serving our country. We can't talk about it, but he's,
Right.
he is.
He'll be involved.
He's got an open invitation for this. We just couldn't wait.
Yeah, he encouraged me as well to keep going, doing the things that I was doing. Because I mean,
Yeah.
when you're starting out and you're doing it for yourself, that's great. But then once you've done all the stuff, well, now what? And he was one of the people that kept encouraging me to
Yeah.
go on. So yeah, I owe him a lot as well.
He's a true friend too. Like, we've met up and talked and had coffee, and I mean, he's a dude I could call at any point. He's more than just the guy that inspired me to do YouTube videos. But he actually called me out on one of his YouTube videos because I made a comment and said, I've got some fancies. And
That's how
he's
I
like, well,
found
right. And he's like, let's see them. And I thought, well, heck, I don't know what to do. So I literally set Indian style in my floor and drug out some notes and just went through them. And, I'm just flipping through graded notes. And that's my first video. It's still up. I actually watched it yesterday. Nothing's really changed on my channel. But
there is nothing wrong with sitting on your floor filming videos. I still do that.
Well, yeah. Me setting Indian style, that's a problem.
Literally, I haven't done that on purpose since like 1999. So
right, and I haven't done it since then. So it's pretty impactful. But
I generally film them at my desk or my kitchen table because I'm afraid if I get in the floor, I won't be able to get up off the floor. Let's put it that way.
Right. I'm with
you. Be able to get out of the floor.
Yes.
Part of the reason the last sentence I always say is said so fast is because my legs are falling asleep.
Well,
you need to
I always
build something, Stu. You need to do something like you can do it on a table. It's time. It's time to take that next step. It's not technology.
The table you see in my videos is literally the coffee table in front of me.
That's what I assumed. But I know it works.
And see, mine's the chair. This chair I'm sitting in right now.
I mean,
we're gonna chip in and get Dustin a table.
I've got one. I just don't want to move it around.
A lot of people wonder why I never show my face. It's not because I'm shy. I was in radio and television for high school and college and stuff. I don't show my face in the videos because I'm not the star. The notes are the star. Yes. I always want to highlight whatever I'm showing, because I know how distracting I would be if my face was up next to these notes. So I want to make
one
sure.
Guy who shows his face, I guess I'm the guy that, Well, I mean, there's a degree of, let's face it. And that, by the way, the other thing that I enjoy about all three of your channels, including Silver Surfers, and there's other, like, I have a total man crush on Dr. G.
Yes.
Anybody that has not watched his videos, go back. If there's one, and it's a coin channel, and he's not active at this point. I'm not saying he's done, but fabulous. I just really enjoyed it a lot. And you could tell he took the time. He built that little coin holder so when he had a graded coin and he flipped it, he'd flip up, a little block would flip up so he wouldn't have to move his camera. So the coin would be dead center. And I'm like, that is my type of guy. I love that he cares that much about it. Anything else before I move on, add to why you're here, why you do YouTube, why?
So Stu said something about, kind of getting in a groove of making videos. You'll do 3 or 4 at a time. My videos, the majority are a minute to about 3 minutes long. And it takes me longer to get the note usually out of the package that it came in than it does to make the video, because I just go directly to post it. I post the thing right after I make it, but I'll do anywhere between 5 to 10 videos at a time. like right now it's what, December 3rd, and I have videos. I just posted one for the first week of March.
Well, that's your classic. You're like, I don't know. I think this is going to post, sometime in
Right.
2026.
Right. Right. But I know exactly what you're talking about, Stu, with you get in that groove where it's like, I feel like talking. It's quiet now in the house, the dog's outside kind of thing. And,
Exactly.
and you just kind of get in that groove where you want to share information and you want to, like, maybe the lighting's right too. I use the lighting thing quite a bit.
Yes.
Where there's certain times where it's really good.
Well, and like for me and my channel, I mean, I script. I mean, I have nothing to hide. I have a teleprompter that I read off of, but I write everything and get it all written out, and everything goes backwards from there. And, and as I'm writing and thinking of the ideation, images and what I want to show or what I'm trying to find, pulling this and that. And I love photoshopping, love doing stuff like that to make it. I enjoy doing that. So when I'd call it a hobby. So if somebody's saying, well, you're spending that much time doing that, I'm like, well, if I wanted to go garden, if I wanted to go bowling, if I wanted to go whatever, okay, how much time do you spend doing all that? And for me, I have to write everything out, and that's one. I do have a point, and I can't believe I'm going to compliment you three again. You guys just rip it and go.
Too.
I know. I mean, I know you guys probably have Cliff's notes, things like that, but your ability to speak without 18 ums and ahs and things like that, I script because I don't want to forget something.
You should hear my raw videos. You don't know how many I cut out of it.
Well, that's the other thing, Ontario. I know you do editing, and that impresses the crap out of me. I just think that's so cool, but it's still without a script. It's not easy.
I write a script sometimes. Sometimes I have a script. I do sometimes. I try to write it though in a way where it doesn't sound like I'm reading a script.
Does that mean I sound like I'm reading a script?
I didn't say that.
Not that I care.
The closest to a script I come is when I do my top 10 lists.
Yeah.
I write them out. I write out top 10. That way I do that to make sure I have them in the right order for no other reason than that. Just because I usually put them in a specific order. Not that it means anything, because I'm not going by anything other than my own opinion on all these videos.
Am I the only one that I watch Stu's channel that you can't keep track? Is this number 6 and you're counting?
All the time.
With you. I'm like, I have no idea what he's on. I have no idea.
Right.
I'm like, show me the next one. It's cool.
Right. But it's funny because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know what it is. And you're like 5, 4, 3. Okay, number 2.
For a while, I used to put them in a very specific location on the table, and that just kind of went away. Yeah. All of a sudden, you have 2 notes for one particular thing. And it's pretty hopeless. So I'll just keep doing what I do, because that's what people like. The fact that they know what to expect on all of us. Everybody that watches our videos knows what to expect from me. They know what to expect from you, Dan. They know you, Dustin. They know you, Ontario. They get used to that, and that's why they come back, because they know what to expect.
All right, so we had, folks that are watching, we had a pre-meeting and talked and kind of powwowed. Said, okay, and if there's anybody wants to ask any comments, obviously comments will be open. Feel free. We'll address them in the next Currency Roundtable. That's what we want. That's what we wanted. That's what we started with. Feel free to ask us questions. But I will reiterate I'm not an expert. I just have something that I think has the information on it. You're right. Exactly. Stu, you did a great video on here's 80 ways to collect.
Yeah, that that got out of hand real quick.
Collect serial numbers with the number 3 in it.
Well, no. They were legit.
No, I'm not. I am not saying that they were not. But the point, what I took away from all that was, it doesn't matter. Whatever floats your boat, baby.
Yes,
correct.
Exactly.
That's the important part. So
there's no wrong way.
Go around the table again here. Let's start with Dustin on this one. Is like, okay, because you're kind of the shortest answer, pretty obvious. fancies.
Yeah.
All right. So we know that you're the numbers guy. Stick with that. I'm going to kind of say, Dustin, what do you appreciate the most in fancies? Is it a radar? Is it a repeater? And what's your favorite that you have in your collection? Sans a star note. All right. A star note radar. I mean, that's like holy buckets. That's awesome.
Right. Right.
But is there
it's actually at PMG right now, and I might have a picture to send you to put up on the screen, but I have I love super repeaters. All right. And that is where it's just A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B repeated, So 10101010, that kind of thing. So I have a silver certificate that's a star note that's a super repeater. And it is 10101010.
Oh wow.
But wait. So help all of us out. So I would call that a binary.
The binary.
It is a true binary star super repeater silver certificate.
So a repeater could be 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. That's a repeater.
Yes, you bet.
So obviously fancies can be multiple categories of fancies. It can be a binary, it can be a super repeater,
a super radar, it can be a radar repeater,
right?
Too. As an example, like 1001. And those are so difficult to find, but they are out there.
Tell me again, just to make sure I heard what I heard. What was
okay? So
that's sitting at PMG right now.
10101010.
And it is a what?
It's a 1935 silver certificate with a star as well. And it will probably grade an AU55 or an AU58.
All right, folks. I'm just going to should we just quit right now? And you just drop the mic and walk away, okay?
Yeah. Right.
We don't have a chance of finding that now in circulation.
No,
yours is from 1935.
It's really funny because I got it off eBay. It was sitting on eBay, and it was not categorized as a repeater. It was categorized as a uncirculated star note.
And it was a binary.
That's a whole other thing.
It was a true binary.
Yes, as and not even called a true binary. So I click on this because the way they had done the pictures, it's like, this is a person that doesn't sell too often, and they had a rating or like a feedback on eBay of like 200 and something. So they had sold stuff, but they weren't up in the thousands. And I looked at other stuff they were selling. They had a few silver certificates, but then they had a lot of jewelry, and it kind of looked like a flea market or a pawn shop. Yeah. And they had, let me think, I want to say it was like $400 on this thing. And so I sent them a message, and just because I'm this guy, I'm like, hey, will you take $350?
Did you offer them
and
more?
They're like, yeah, of course. No.
Oh, well, I've heard of people offering more to take it down.
Well, it was
I have.
It was so funny because they're like, oh yeah, 350. Said we've had this listed for 3 weeks. And I looked, and they had it up for 3 weeks, and that note is worth, $2,000 or so. $1,500 to $2,000.
I mean, I'm not a fancy guy. I don't get into that, but I mean, I don't know how I cannot. I mean, my jaw's just still dropping.
It's a cool one. I have a video that I'll send you the link on.
Yeah.
Dustin, what I would like to ask specifically, or maybe you could tell us, because I've seen you reference it in some of your videos, okay? Dan is talking about how people, how they collect, what they're putting together. And you have a 08 set. Is that correct?
Yes. I just completed it.
Tell us about that. Tell us explain what I'm talking about.
What's
from
a 08 set?
Standpoint.
Okay, so that all started with Silver Surfer as well. So if you have seen him, he had the 05 set.
Yes.
And I thought, how can I one up this guy? Because it's a competition. We're both very competitive, and we both enjoy sharing the notes we get. And
So tell what it is, though.
It's a 0-8 radar set, where if you look at the combinations of binary radars, as in eights and zeros in this case, so you can have 8008, 8008. There's one example. You can have 8 and then 6 zeros and then another 8. There's another example. Well, there's 15 total.
Okay, 15 total. That's
one of which is a solid.
No, that would make it 16, and that's ridiculous. I say it's ridiculous because you can get solid serial numbers, and anything below sevens to ones that are solid, you can find. All right, that's totally achievable. When you get to solid eights and solid nines, that's when the cost of them, like I saw a solid eights graded an MS-67, and they wanted $6,500 for it.
wow.
Why the difference in the why?
Because eights are considered lucky numbers in the Asian culture.
Asia, yeah.
All right.
But that's what that radar set is. It's taken me almost 3 years to build, and I completed it. It's December 3rd. So let's see, I completed it about 5 weeks ago.
Are you doing a video on it, I hope?
Nah. But yes, I'll do a video.
Okay. I mean, I'm like,
yeah.
Folks, comment the heck out of
So actually, I have, there's 6 of those notes at PMG right now. So I'm kind of at their mercy on when I can actually have the video made, because they'll get them back to you in 6 weeks or 6 months sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are a couple in there. The 8 with the 6 zeros and the other 8, the super radar, it has a chance at an MS-67 or MS-68.
Wow.
So it might be the highest note that I've ever sent in if they grade it like I think. The margins are perfect on both the front and the back.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about it.
All right, we're going to divert over to Ontario 100.
Okay.
So Ontario, you talked about types. I mean, it's like, so what do we collect? And I've probably gotten away from that a little bit from what I started with, but is there anything that you collect that's specific today?
Well, because of our friend Dustin, I have started with large star notes. So
There you go.
He's got me.
Welcome to the crowd, man.
Yeah, welcome to the crowd. And it's interesting to me, because I'm all about numbers. I was a numbers guy all my career. So it's interesting to me just how rare some of those things are. I mean, it's incredible that the price, I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm surprised the prices aren't higher than they are.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are, you're talking about, some of them are in single digits. I mean, that's all, and under 20 is common to see. That's very common.
Without stealing his thunder and telling you what he got and everything, because I know, and man, I'm so happy for you.
Keep everybody else in suspense.
That's what we're going to do.
Let that be your channel. That's you, Ontario.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. But an example is like, and I think I made this comment in an email, Ontario, where if there were 12 known and it was a coin,
oh yeah,
that coin would be worth $10,000 plus.
Yeah.
But instead, we have like 12, 13, 14 known of this particular note, and it's in rough shape, still valued at $1,500 to $2,000 or whatever.
Right.
But that shows the comparison between the markets. There's many more coin collectors out there.
Yeah.
But the scarcity of these notes are very comparable with some of the rarest coins available.
Yep.
But I wish I could say more, but I'll let you take that at some point.
It's amazing sometimes, and sometimes it's surprising what you can run into in these auctions. I mean, I'll be looking through, we all know who they are, Heritage and Stacks and those type people. And I'm like, wow, they've got one of those coming up. I'll mention this. This is way out of my price range. I think I've already mentioned it to Dustin, but they've got a large $50 bill, I think, that's coming up either this weekend or next. The serial number is 22. You know,
That's
and
solid.
yeah,
That
it
counts.
is. And in that same auction, there's a mini porthole with a serial number of 22. So
Right.
I figure whoever bids on one will bid on the other.
Right.
And those notes, aren't they like MS-66 as
I
well?
think yes, they're high grade. They are high grade notes. Yes.
And they're going to be like $10,000 and $12,000.
Yes. Yes. Without the serial number thing, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. They're going to be expensive without it. So I can't imagine what they're going to sell for.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I'm not going to be buying one.
No, me either. No.
So is it fair to say that Ontario, you're kind of not really in one space collecting? You're just like whatever.
I'm very eclectic. Yeah, whatever interests me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would agree. All right. Stu?
Oh, I was just enjoying everything here.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious.
I collect anything and everything, whatever has a cool story. If I see a note for the first time and the seller has a story, I'm probably going to buy that note instantly, if not go on eBay and pick one up. That's the important thing for me. If the note is telling a story, I want that story. I want to be able to share that story. And one of the things on my channel is I hate talking about notes that I don't have. I see a lot of coin channels that dabble in currency, and they will frequently show notes that they don't have and talk about them. And it's like, well, yeah, it's like reading it in a book or whatever, it's not the same. But if I pull out the note and tell the story about that note, I'm telling the story. Absolutely. I'm sharing my collection with somebody else, but I'm also doing one other thing in the background, and that's instilling on the viewers that, yes, this note has a cool story, but it's acquirable. I was able to get it, and if I can get it, you can get it. And I can,
exactly,
by me showing the note and telling the story, I don't have to come out and say that, because I'm an Uber driver. I tell that to everybody. I am not some, trust fund baby or nothing. No, I'm a grunt like everybody else. But if I can get the note, then you can get the note too. That's the important thing for me.
Well, and it's just like talking for me, I'm eclectic. I'm all over the place. And, I've been doing my channel almost a year now, and it has drastically changed how I collect, and it made it even more eclectic. I'm more random all over the place. I mean, if I want to do a video that nobody wants to watch, I'll make it on world currency, and I love it. I love it. And that's okay, folks, because I'm going to do it anyways. So get used to it. Because there are some great stories, beautiful notes, all that, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I started traditionally with the Federal Reserve notes, and I put, I'm still working on that. Ontario, thank you for your help, by the way, but I'm just like, nope, I'm not going to do it. On trying to find, I put together all the signatures for the Minneapolis FRNs and all the types and signatures for that. I didn't want to go into star notes on that. I mean, that's where I'm like, okay, talking about how to collect. That's the first thing I think that I'd want to say to somebody is like, if you're starting into something, please research it, because I've been burned on it where it's like, I'm never going to collect it. But for me, it's like Stu, for what you said, it's like financial. You have to budget. You have to, okay, I can't buy anything for 2 months, 3 months. What is your budget 2 months? You cobble it together and you splurge. You make that purchase. And that was what I was able to do with the $100 1928 gold certificate. That's a big note. And I can collect that because it's national, doesn't have a Federal Reserve on it. So I got into those, but what I've learned from watching people like you is that there's different areas to collect. So what I collect has changed dramatically in the last year because obsoletes is one of them. I'm scared of obsolete banknotes, folks. I'm really scared of them. Why? Because it's huge and unknown. And Stu, you've brought this up on your channel. World banknotes, huge and unknown. you cannot think of investment at this point. You just have to say, can I afford it? Do I want to buy it? Because you can't. There's no way you're going to know the value of some note coming from somewhere, another country. There's guidelines, but they're Stu.
Yeah, the quantity of the stuff that's out there, it is, you're 100% right. It's impossible to know it off the top of your head. I can go to a show and look for an 1899 Black Eagle and know the price range and know if it's good. But when I see a foreign note, I don't speak the language. I don't know the denomination. I don't know the conversion rate. I can grade the note, but I don't know how many were made. I have nothing to go on that way. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying it can be a landmine if you don't know. I mean, you can go to a show and see notes that we all know the prices of off the top of our heads that are overpriced. And we know they're overpriced, and maybe they're overpriced because the person just really doesn't want to sell the note. They like to show it, but they don't want to get rid of it. There's no harm with that. But when you're going to see foreign notes, world notes, you don't know. There aren't enough books out there about foreign notes. And sadly, obsolete currency is the same way. There is the Don Kelly book on obsolete currency, but his book is so old, it's out of print.
Right.
If you can get one, at least you have a baseline guide point. But
to know that at least at that point in time, this note was this percentage over. And that's how I use the Friedberg book. I mean, I know that those prices are not realistic. Everybody should know that. Maybe that's another topic. But it's like, you know that this note is going to be 20% higher than another note. What that price is today is a different story.
Right. I use most of my guidebooks to determine if a note is $10 or $100 or $1,000. I'm simply trying to figure out where the decimal point goes.
Right.
And from there, then I can decide how much I'm willing to spend on a given note.
Well, one thing I like about obsoletes, and I was going to ask Stu about that book one more time, is you can get into the vignettes. If there's a certain type of vignette you like, if you like ships or whatever, you could go down a whole rabbit hole of notes,
Oh, yeah.
but would you do you have that book handy? You could, this may be something you want to cut out, I don't know, but could you just show it one more time?
You're not talking about the Don Kelly book, right? You're talking about the book of vignettes.
The vignette, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right here.
Because you see, I have thought about that myself, and I said I need to study the vignettes and do my research.
Let's see if we can get this on here.
While he's showing that, folks, this is the best value currency book ever. $25. And full color.
We'll even put this on here. Where's the? I can't find it there.
There you go. You got it.
Because that's
ISBN.
Old school. That means a lot to people when they can see that USB number or whatever that is there. But yeah, that's the book there. Seeing America through a glare.
No, you got it. Good job.
There we go. And this book here, it's just all kinds of different vignettes. And not only does it have like 9 chapters showing the different vignettes, the back of the note the back of the book is all the actual notes themselves. So it's not just full of vignettes. You also get to see the actual note so that you can go hunt it down yourself.
Okay.
But yeah, you want to talk about a rabbit hole? Yeah. Book's that free gift I got's costing me a lot of money.
And that's where talking about obsoletes in the ocean. I mean, Stu, you showed one Connecticut note with the whaling scene.
Yes.
And to me, that's my wife's like, Connecticut whales. I'm like, yeah, that was a big deal back then. They got the whale oil, that was lubrication, that was lamps, whatever. But I'm like, that's a thing. And for me, for my first real foray into I've done some odd denominations, which I think are super cool. But as presidents, actual US presidents on obsoletes, and there's only an opportunity to have 17 of them because obsoletes went out, pretty much were done. Not script obsolete. That's a side category of obsoletes. It ends at Andrew Johnson, right after Lincoln. And there's one that it's unattainable. I know that going in. It's a $50,000 note, one of 9. And that's okay. And I don't care. It's still a collection that it keeps me focused. It keeps me in budget. And that's, I guess, the biggest thing for me to tell folks that are looking into this, and that it's affordable. And I'm going to kind of kick off this last round to kind of close this of, affordability is a big thing for me. I work for a nonprofit local historical society. Yeah, worst financial decision I ever made, but I'm also happy in my old age now. But with that said, it's like I can't buy a lot of probably 90% of what comes across and gives me my attention, but that's okay. It doesn't mean I can't do something. And it's all about grade. And I look for notes. I have almost all of my large size. If they are about a 10, but you can find 10s with better color, better this, better that. So what if it's got a tear? So what if it's missing a corner? Who cares? Does it look good? And I guarantee you, when you hand it to somebody that's never seen it before, like that $20 gold, man, people just, their jaws just drop. And I love the reaction. I love George Washington.
I see that so many times when I go to all the different branches, whenever there's a new teller. When I got my PO box, I am now best buddies with the lady that works at the post office there. Every time I come in, what do you got this time? So it's almost like I'm going to the bank just when I go check my PO box, because she can't wait to see what the next thing is. Yeah, it's that portion of collecting that it's so hard to describe to people when you get to share how incredible this stuff is. So yeah, condition. Yeah, it's nice if you can get one that's in good condition, but get one. That's the important thing. Get it. You can always upgrade it later. Get one.
I call it artwork in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I look at it as
Say that again, Ontario.
I call it artwork in your pocket.
Yep.
Or works of art in your pocket might be a better way to put it.
Well, and I'll say this and be honest about it. It's like, it's weird because I can't afford what Ontario is buying, and that's okay. It's the same game. It's just different levels, and that's okay. Yeah. And people are like, well, currency is all about these big notes, the grand watermelon. Yeah, those are nice. Somebody's got to buy them, and it certainly helps the interest in this. And they had that stupid $2 bill that came out 2 months ago, whatever. Yeah, they're out there, but it's like you can still go get a red seal $2 bill and have that. And if you know people who sell it, that Stu knows, you can get it for at least $50 on
eBay.
Well, when I was teaching school, I had the opportunity to introduce this hobby to kids, and it's really cool to see how they look at notes compared to how I looked at them, because they looked at it like, oh, I would show them maybe a $20 gold certificate and tell them the history of that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could exchange this for gold, that kind of thing. And they would say, well, how much money did you pay for that? Why did you pay so much money for that? That kind of thing. And that's a difference in generation. But at the same time, out of the thousands of kids that I had as students, there are a couple of them that are actually in the hobby.
Wow.
And they're in their early 20s now, mid 20s. Yeah. Golly, I'm getting old. Anyway, they're getting to the point now where, they have that job and they're starting to look at that same note that they saw as, say, a 14-year-old in my history class.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool feeling, but it's cool to see the evolution there where, I don't know. I guess this is a sidebar. There aren't many people getting into the hobby. You don't see it. And it's kind of, Dan, it's like what you were saying. There's so many people pushing for, say, that grand watermelon, and those notes that are $80,000. Those are the ones that make the news. Those are the ones that make the article. And no one knows that, for $6 you can go get a red seal 2 or a red seal 5, and it's still going to have the history on it. It's, a different generation in this nation's history, and I don't know. That's where I think that we need to go with a lot of this too. You know, we need to show the rags in our collection and that kind of stuff. I want to do that.
I don't have a choice. And I'm still proud of them.
That's
But
right.
it's awesome. Like that $100 gold cert and everything. That's so awesome. I don't have that in my own collection just because I went a different way, but that's a note I've always wanted. You know, it's so cool. I love seeing that. And even the grade, who cares what the grade is? You have one.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
that's part of the game for all of us. And I think I've had more people that are coin folks. Well, currency is so expensive to get into. And I'm like,
It's as expensive as you make it.
you can
exactly.
go to the bank and get it for free. Right. I mean, really, I mean, you can, if that's, I don't enjoy the strap searches. And that's why, again, Steve, I appreciate the way you did them. And I see everybody now copying you for even coin searches.
Oh, coins are doing it that way too? Just show,
Well, yeah, because it's like, do I really want to go through, watch somebody pull out 50 pennies? I mean, really? No
Right.
offense to
No,
people.
no.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But, you know, and it's like, you know, all right. So we're going to wrap up here. And this, but I want to say, is there one other currency / coins, okay, channel that you'd say, you know what, you need to watch, you guys need to go check this out?
Well, Silver Surfer, obviously, and that's all I have right now. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but let's do that next time. Next time I'll have a list for you.
Yeah, all right.
But I watch you guys. That's the thing. I watch you guys.
But I'm going to give a shameless plug to, you know, these are both coin guys, and one of them I might be turning to the dark side. But this is where they give the information, the lighting, how they go about their business. I really appreciate it. That's Massabesic Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
He does a great job, just an outstanding job. And then there's the Coin Box with my friend Joe. I mean, he just does fabulous. And Joe is a younger guy with a young family, and he does videos when he can. But those two, and they're both coin related, and I still watch them and appreciate them. And that's what I look for. You know, that still interests me. I'm not, you know, I don't hate coins that much.
One of the channels that I watch, I don't watch every episode because he's also a coin guy, but does go into currency, is Emmanuel's Workbench.
Yes.
Emmanuel's in Canada. So even if he's doing a coin search, that's still interesting to me because normally when I go through my change and I get a Canadian quarter, I'm like, oh, I just lost 5 cents. Yeah. But here he's got a whole box of them and you can start to see all the differences. I didn't realize they had colorized coins. When I heard him talking about loonies and toonies, I thought he was talking about cartoons, you know, but
Tell
no,
me, I got totally sucked in by his toonie searches, and I'm like, that's not my gig, but he sucked me in.
And then he has done $5 bill strap searches as well. And just the stuff he talks about as far as the signature combinations and the way that they do the numbering system in Canada, it's fascinating. I'm glad they don't do that down here. It's much easier the way we've got it to identify stuff. But you have to go through so much research if you live in Canada to do these strap searches. And he doesn't do them often, but when he does, they're just so loaded with information. So that's one guy I would most certainly shout out, which is Emmanuel. He was in my top 10 channels that I watched.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Great. Ontario?
Well, all of the guys you have mentioned, I also like to watch Make Numismatics Great Again. He's mostly a coin channel, but he has some great stuff. And I like Jaden Noble. I've also talked to him a couple times on the phone. And like you guys mentioned, Massabesic, he's great. I watch him every week. And of course, Silver Surfer.
Yeah, of Silver Surfer, just because he's not here and I'm trying not to make fun of him, it's really, really hard. I'm just telling you. Anything else?
I want to throw out there, we are not, us four are not here to say that we are the end all do all. We are opening the door to anybody. Okay. We're just showing you that, hey, there's, we know of us four that have been doing this kind of stuff. And I would like to believe that we are welcoming to anybody. I answer questions on eBay and YouTube and through email all the time. We welcome people to join what we're doing. We're not trying to put ourselves up above anybody. We are everybody. Yeah. So I just want to make sure that if that's coming across the proper way,
good.
Yeah, we are trying to be inclusive to everybody. We aren't trying to say that we're up here and everybody else is down here. We're definitely welcoming to anybody.
So, we've got some topics that we've gone through and we are open. Leave them in the comments, please. Questions, topics, please leave comments for us. We want to talk about what's going to help the hobby.
Right. We want to know what people want to see too.
Yeah. So
as well, and want to talk about and hear about and all that stuff.
Yep. All right, gentlemen, anything else? That's it, folks. This was Currency Roundtable number 1. Thank you for bearing with us. This is, brand new for us. So it's just fun to sit and talk with you gentlemen. Seriously. Thank you very much for all of you joining. Leave comments and have a great day.